Hey guys, welcome back to another brand new book review here on my YouTube channel. And for today's book review, we are reviewing a surprising read. I actually first saw somebody talk about this on TikTok. She said it was really good, that she enjoyed it, and it is a new release. I saw it at Walmart a week ago, and then I was like, hey, I've quite a few books on my TBR, I'm not going to buy it. And then I was back at Walmart this week to buy some groceries. I saw it again, I read the back of the book again, and I saw the sticker that it was 15% off market value. So like, hey, why don't I get it? I did. I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. It was Tropesick by Okie. I actually gave this one 4.5 stars, and like partway through when I was reading it, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna give it like 4.5 or 4 stars, but then got to the end, really enjoyed it. Also, spoilers ahead, because I will be talking about some things in the third act that does reveal something about one of these side characters that is quite important in the story. So if you don't want any spoilers, I would stay away from this video, because I do want to honestly talk about it, and I feel like giving the spoiler warning is what I want to do. Okay, so basically this book follows Katie Caruso, who is a ghostwriter for Meredith Bradford. She has been her main ghostwriter for quite a few years now. And basically, Meredith Bradford's agent, Selma, is tasking Katie Caruso with writing a book, and is like, hey, this book needs to be done fairly quickly, like by the end of the summer. So she's like, I've paired you up with somebody. And then the guy that she paired Katie up with to write the book backed out. So she was like, hey, I had to find somebody else last minute. And then who showed up at the coffee shop to work with Katie? None other than her late brother's best friend, who we learned she had feelings for, and seemed like he had feelings for her, was supposed to meet up with her after her brother's funeral, and then just didn't show up at the beach. And then we learn why in the third act. So basically, this book flip-flops between like the present and the past. It starts at about 11 years ago, and then sort of works its way up to like 2-ish years ago, maybe, I think, or like maybe it's 8 years ago. It's like kind of works its way up. So it starts about 11 years ago. It flip-flops between the present and the past. So basically, the big event that started most of like the disconnect between Tyler and Katie is basically Tyler was best friends with Katie's brother. They both kind of did like some drugs, and they were high, and Tyler was driving a car, and then he was talking with her brother, and then he got in an accident, and then he kind of came out with like some cuts and scrapes, but was overall okay. Her brother, on the other hand, had to have, I believe, some surgery on his arm, and he had a goal of joining the MLB and being a pitcher, and there was just no way he was going to be able to do that. So he ended up getting some medication for his pain, and he ended up getting addicted to it. And then eventually Tyler also got addicted to like alcohol and drugs. They were both sent to rehab. For Tyler, it was successful when he went to rehab. For her brother, Katie's brother, sorry, I'm like forgetting his name at the moment. I don't know why. For Katie's brother, it ended up not being successful. He kept going in and out of rehab, and then eventually he OD'd. And I think her mother kind of put a lot of the blame onto Tyler, because she was like, if he had never been driving high, then my son would have never gotten in the accident, then he never would have hurt his arm, never would have taken the drugs and stuff like that. Even though, yes, you can do like a domino effect sort of scenario, I don't think you could directly put the blame on Tyler, because like it was still her son's choice to take the drugs and then continue to be addicted to them. So I think that was like unfair. And so when her brother died, Tyler had come back for the funeral, and then Katie really wanted to sit with Tyler because she kind of had feelings for him, and it was kind of like sort of known that he might have had feelings for her, even though he stayed away because of the whole brother thing. And then he was like, you know what, she wanted to see him, and he was like, you know what, after the funeral, like, come to the beach tonight, I'll see you there. And then he never shows up at the beach, and it turns out, we learn later on, more towards the third act, that her mother had stopped Tyler from going to see her, and was like, you have to stay away from my daughter, like, I don't want you to take another child away from me, even though he really had feelings for Katie. And then what brings them together, like I said, is the fact that they are both tasked with ghostwriting this book for Meredith Bradford. And then eventually, they get the call that Meredith Bradford wants to see them. And then, And then Meredith Bradford is like, hey, I want you to actually stay. First she says to Katie, because Katie has nowhere to go, because Katie kind of has to leave her building. It sort of gets condemned, her building in New York City, because that's where she lives now, and that's also where Tyler lives, which is in New York City. And so then Katie's nowhere to stay, so then Meredith's like, why don't you stay with me at my sprawling mansion? She was like, I can make the guest room for you. She's like, my driver will take you places. So she ends up staying, and then eventually, she's like, well, how am I going to work with Tyler? Like, the flow, like, I'm losing my flow here. I was doing really good at the coffee shop with Tyler. She's like, well, why don't we have Tyler come, and then maybe Tyler can stay? So then Tyler comes, and she's like, I can put you up in the cottage, but, or like the guest house, sorry, the carriage house, if I'm not mistaken. But Meredith Bradford was like, the cottage, I can't remember. I think it was like, he stayed in the cottage, but there was also a carriage house, I think. Yeah, I think it was a carriage house that they were told to stay away from. She was like, you can roam anywhere on my property, you just cannot go to the, carriage house. So then eventually, like, a bunch of things happen. He tells her multiple times that he, like, has, like, they hook up quite a few times, like, a couple times, and then he ends up saying each time he can't do this, like, he really can't do this. He, like, with his, all of his trauma, then what happened with her brother, he can't do it, and they hook up again, and they're more honest this time, and he's more honest, and she, like, helps him, like, show him what, like, a true relationship can kind of be like, slowly developing, and then eventually he's like, oh, I can't do this. And then so she ends up leaving, and, like, going with, she ends up calling up her late brother's girlfriend, and is like, hey, like, would you want to come back to my old house, to my brother's room? Like, she realizes that she wasn't really close to her brother, and she was like, hey, could you tell me a bunch of stories? And then at one point, like, I think I must have, like, zoned out a bit, but at one point, Tyler feels something suspicious. He's like, this is so weird. He was like, it feels like I was brought here, like, we were brought together. Like, how does she know so much about me, this Meredith Bradford? And, like, it feels like we were connected on purpose. Like, she knew that I had a thing for Katie at one point, and, like, that's why we were connected. So he goes to confront Meredith Bradford, and she ends up telling him a bunch of things. And she was like, I know you because I was actually, because she said, oh, I fell in love here on this property. But she was like, that's not the person I married. And she was like, and then eventually she tells him, like, oh, the person that I fell in love with was your father. And the reason why your father left, sort of, was because we were going to try to be together, but then it didn't work out. So then he's, like, confronting her, and he's seeing a bunch of stuff, because she had also said at one point, Meredith Bradford, that she's like, hey, I'm going to write a manuscript along as you guys write my next book. Like, we're going to write, like, side by side, sort of. And it's going to, like, kind of be intertwined in some ways. And so he looks at all of the things, and he realizes that Meredith Bradford is writing his and Katie's love story, basically. And so he's confronting her. And then at one point, he's literally, like, physically also confronting her. And then at one point, a line said, like, he goes to, like, touch her, like, near her heart, and then his hand just goes through her. That's when we learn the entirety of the book, Meredith Bradford is a ghost. She's not real. She doesn't exist. And the reason why she's had ghostwriters for the past 20 years and stopped writing her own books 20 years ago is because she's dead, and she's been dead for 20 years. That was just so shocking, because there was no point in the book. Like, I feel like when books, like, take the more paranormal, like, turn, they sort of give that vibe off usually from the beginning, but this felt just, like, very, like, natural, and nothing that we wouldn't have any paranormal. Like, at no point did I get that hint. And then the minute I read that he, like, tried to, like, touch her, but then his hand went, like, through her heart, I was like, shit, she's a ghost. I was like, what is this? It was quite interesting, and like, this book was quite slow burn, and at some point I was like, okay, but I still gave it 4.5 stars, so by the end I was like, I still feel like I enjoyed this read. Even at the beginning, I was a little bit unsure of what I would rate it. Like, towards the end, I was like, you know what, the ghost thing kind of was like threw me for a loop, but so interesting and so unique. So yeah, I gave this one 4.5 stars, and it is a new release. I believe it just came out this year. I don't know exactly when it was when was the publication date. But yeah, first publication date 2026. So yeah, if you were looking for a brand new book to read that had a little bit of a twist, then I would recommend Tropesick. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I do know that there is another book by Lauren Okie. I've seen quite a few people talk about it, The Best Worst Thing, and I think it's in my Amazon cart because I think I do want to buy it next time I do a book order. Just because I read it, a little bit of the synopsis, and it seemed interesting. So yeah, that is all for this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments down below. You can also hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss another brand new video from me. You can also follow me at RomanceBLVD on Instagram and Threads, and at Romance Boulevard, all spelled out on TikTok. Until the next one, bye!